Welcome channel, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different, right? So Henry and I were kind of grooving over at an office here downtown. Sometimes we like to kind of work in tandem as the great team that we are. And we've been noticing a few things, right? So obviously rates have kind of ticked up a little bit in the last few weeks, right? And there's a lot of factors we can't control around that. But I was kind of thinking, like, what are some positives that we can look at today versus buying a house 5 years ago?
Right now, with rates ticking up, like you said, what are the things that we can do to mitigate these rates ticking up? Well, one of the things that we're doing right now is we're helping people with a 1% temporary buy down, right? So right now, rates are somewhere around 6.5%. But with this 1% buy down for the first year, you're at 5.5%. Right? And 5.5 is great rate. So realistically, we're hoping with the things that are happening in the market and things that are going on that within 12 months, we're going to be able to refinance you into a fixed rate at 5.5%. But until that time, at least you're going to have 5.5%. And one of the things that people don't realize is that they're going to get 2 months of no payments once they move in, right? So we're going to always close you at the very beginning of the first month. And let's say we close you August 1st, your first payment's not going to be until October 1st. So that gives you 2 months. So I don't want you to think that it's all doom and gloom when the sky is falling, because realistically, we have a lot of really cool tools to bring that payment down.
Yeah. And we've been very fortunate to talk. Henry's given a lot of his time about some ways to mitigate those rates, make our buying process a little easier. But we're going to kind of go back in the weigh machine, put our hats on, and talk about some of the big mistakes, or maybe mistakes are strong with the big sacrifices people had to make a few years ago when rates were awesome. Rates were 3%. But I got to tell you, I don't remember it being the land of milk and honey back then.
No,
right?
No.
So some things that we had to do back then that we don't have to do today is inspections basically didn't happen.
Not at all.
So from 2017 through 2022 right in there, inspections very rarely happened.
Yes.
If they did, they were basically used as a mechanism to terminate a transaction versus actually get repairs done, right? But today, you can really go in and make sure the home is in an acceptable manner, right? And that's a good thing for buyers, right? So especially my wife and I bought our house 2 years ago in December. Okay. We were in a position where we could say, hey, we weren't going to beat anyone with a stick, but there's a few things we wanted to get done that would not have been capable 2 years before that.
Not with the multiple offers.
So it's you're competing in a different situation, right? So buyers now can go ensure that they're not, in addition to taking on a house that they maybe had to and very likely had to go above asking to buy. Yeah, their mortgage rate was good, but they had to go above asking. And now they have, at least a couple grand, maybe more worth of repairs to make after they bought the house. And that's not even including things like, buying a new appliance package for that old crummy or dishwasher thing to replace, or the dryer that's after quarter, right?
Right.
So I would say that's a positive benefit. Yes, the money's a little more expensive, but we have strategies around that. But the inspection process is much improved. So buyers can be much more confident going to closing that they're going to be okay for, call it a year or two. And especially if you work with, Henry and I, you're going to get a full 14-month home warranty as well. So even more peace of mind. It doesn't cost you a nickel.
Right. And I think that's a great piece. With the home warranty, obviously that's going to keep everything inside of your house good to go. So, but what does a home warranty cover? It covers everything inside your house. It covers your plumbing, electrical. It covers your dishwasher, your washing machine. It covers your refrigerator. Not every home warranty is a little different. So please obviously look at the home warranty that you purchase. But I know the one that we're going to provide to each one of our clients is going to cover all of those things in addition to your HVAC, your water heaters. Those are the big things. Those are the big things that we need to worry about. It was 103 last Saturday.
You're using your AC.
You think that AC is running, huh? You think that's working right now? So, it's a peace of mind. People used to always say, I want things to be right.
Yeah.
Right. So I can sleep at night. Right.
Yeah. And you're paying a little bit more. Prices have generally trended up, maybe flat, depending on where you're at. Up here in Boulder, they've still continued to tick up a little bit.
Right.
But you're paying more per month. Right. So I think, we're demanding a little bit more return on our investment.
We had this idea and all of these rumors about how great it was back in 2021. And, oh my goodness, our rates were 2.5%, rates were 3%. The one thing that we don't talk about is the fact that people were bidding over the price, right? So let's say you found a house for $500,000 and the rate was 2.5% or 3%. And that sounds great, I know. But guess what? There was 10 other people that wanted to buy that same house. So instead of you purchasing it for $500,000, you had to purchase it for $530,000 or $520,000. Because you had to keep bidding up so that you could beat out the other 9 people, right? So that's what we call an appraisal gap. That means that if whatever the appraisal comes in at and whatever your purchase price is, that gap between those two is what you have to pay out of your pocket. Okay. So people don't talk about that when we talk about how great it was back then, but people were paying 15, 20. I've seen people pay $50,000 out of their pocket in addition to their closing costs and all of their down payment because the banks will only lend on a property based on the sell price or the appraised value, whichever is lowered. Okay. So this is very important that you remember that right now, there are no appraisal gaps. There are no 10 people bidding on one house. Now, there are some areas where you'll have 1 or 2 people bidding on the home. And if that's the case, then you may have to go a little bit above, but not like we were back in 2022. That's a huge difference.
No, it's a huge difference. And like, even if you are competing with 1 or 2 other people, I mean, yes, price is one factor, but you can also compete on turnarounds, right? Like maybe you got to pay more money by me. I'll post it faster, right? Maybe you got putting more down. So Henry gets people more confidence in your loan approval, right? So there are a lot of other things besides just price that can really impact the strength of an offer. And when we're kind of digging down to being 1 or 2 other people competing, then those things really matter a lot more when there's 10 of. Yes, I absolutely. And you're 100% right, guys. It's lending is a very complicated process, and the appraisal is really can be kind of a big stumbling block, especially when you are going overpriced. But here, in our current market, even if you are competing, or certainly most houses don't have a secondary competing offer, instead of going 2 or 3 points over asking, you might be able to go 2 or 3 points under asking,
Absolutely.
and do even a little better on that back end. That's before we even start talking about seller concessions and things like that can help further mitigate some of these complications on the mortgage rate front. Absolutely. So I would say, guys, yeah, like the grass is always greener somewhere else, but you live in your house, you have your backyard, right? So let's do our best to take care of it. Working with a great team like Henry and I can really mitigate a lot of the frustration and a lot of the financing down the road, So I would say we're always going to be here to present great tips, great strategies, great holistic efforts to make sure that your lifestyle is exactly what you need it to be and you can close on the right home for you today. It may or may not be your last home, right? And we talked about this before, but everyone who's ever bought a house only buys their last home once, right? So
That's the trick.
so it's unlikely this is going to be your last one, but let's make it the best one we can, and let's make sure we're prepared and ready to go for the next time.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks so much for joining us, guys. That was a few of the kind of sacrifice that people had to make back in the day, back in the year 2021 when everything was, sugar and rainbows. But hey, we live here today. We have our own benefits. We have sacrifices we have to make. We also are going to experience some great opportunities on inspection, on mitigating appraisal issues, and making sure that we're securing the best mortgage rate we can by having a great team behind us. Absolutely. So, hey, give us a call, give us an email, give us a text. We love making videos. You're going to see more and more from us. We want to connect with you guys in person to help make it easy for you. We'll see you guys next time.
See you later.